Citizens National Assembly, our highest policy-making body, adopted an agenda, a parliamentary agenda for the CCC deployees in Parliament. This agenda is anchored on 5 pillars. The first pillar being political and electoral reforms. This pillar is informed by the current crisis that this country is facing. The crisis that the country faces is a crisis of governance. A governance crisis born out of a cycle of disputed elections and election outcomes. That crisis has led to a crisis of confidence in which the people of Zimbabwe have no confidence and do not trust those who have put themselves in the seat of government. It is in this regard that the CNA saw it wise that one of the key pillars and agendas of our voices in Parliament is to push for electoral reforms in Parliament, to push for political reforms in the country, so that once we address the fundamental problem that this country is facing, the symptomatic social and economic problems will be attended. The second pillar of this agenda has to do with the economy itself and its management. Right at the top of the challenges of this economy is unbridled corruption. Our deployees in Parliament are expected to represent the people's concerns and aspirations and concerns and hopes over the issue of how the economy is being managed. We now have a situation where the economy is now being managed by cartels. That all state contracts and businesses have now been confined to a few. It is now an exclusionary economy. And we expect our deployees in Parliament to be able to raise their voices on behalf of the citizens to fight this corruption scourge. But it is also important, as our parliamentarians raise their voices, to make the de facto government understand that there is a symbiotic relationship between our politics and our economics. And unless we resolve our political crisis, the symptomatic economic challenges that we are facing will continue. The third pillar talks to the social issues of education and health. We expect and ask our parliamentarians to raise their voices to protect the vulnerable members of our society. We have a government today which intends to build 18 villas in 2 months to accommodate visiting heads of states to come and stay in those villas for 1 week. But go to Harare Gomo, Salim Mugabe Hospital, all you find are paracetamols. You can't find bandages. Nurses are washing bandages to reuse in the maternity ward. Our various district hospitals countrywide are collapsing. But we take the tax dollar and invest that tax dollar in luxury for visiting heads of states. That's a misallocation of resources. That is an abuse of taxpayers' resources. And we expect our parliamentarians to raise these issues in Parliament and continue to be the voice of the voiceless. Children are being sent out of schools because they can't pay fees. Schools are asking for fees in hard currencies, which our parents are not earning. As a result, they are all being sent out. Parliamentarians cannot remain silent when these challenges are facing Zimbabweans. In 2013, we adopted a new constitution. One of the pillars of that constitution was the democratization of the management of the state through comprehensive provisions for devolution of state power from the center to the regions and local authorities. Today, we've had a piecemeal, cosmetic attempt to devolve state power by the creation of a so-called devolution fund, where the state is behaving like Father Christmas to say every 3 months we'll give you a check of this much. And that to them constitutes devolution. That is not devolution. Devolution entails the establishment by legislation of the governing powers and authorities delegated to the other tiers of government, starting with the delegation of power to provincial governments. We have persons here elected since 2023 to constitute our provincial councils. All these councillors are seated at home up until this day. They are not functioning because the state has not shown any commitment to align the constitution to what the people demanded, which means devolution of power. We expect our parliamentarians to push for the enactment of a devolution bill with clear guidelines on the powers that can be exercised at regional level and the powers that can be exercised at local level. Finally, we expect through our local government portfolio in Parliament to be able to establish a relationship between our local authorities, engage with them and consult with them over issues of both devolution and decentralization of authority and responsibility to local authorities. Pushing this agenda is an alternative government, an alternative cabinet that we are announcing today. The core belief of the CCC is that we must have a small government so that resources are channeled towards the services that are required by citizens. As you are aware, the current ZANU-PF cabinet is made up of 25 ministers and 25 ministries. We believe that that government is too huge and we are too small a country to have that size of government. Our alternative cabinet, therefore, is a reflection of our position vis-à-vis the size of government. our alternative cabinet will be made up of 16 shadow ministers. What it means is that we are going to be integrating some of the ministries and functions so that we've got a smaller cabinet which is focused. The first appointment that we have made is that of our Shadow Minister for Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion, Honorable Koban Madziwanyika. Honorable Koban Madziwanyika is an economist. He's worked for government for so many years. He's also worked for Zimra. He is an economist, a renowned economist, whom we are going to pit against Professor Mtuli-Ngube. Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs will be headed by Honorable Agents Gumbo. Honorable Agents Gumbo also occupied the same position within our party as the head of our Bureau for Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. We have combined Defense and Liberation Veterans Affairs to create one entity or one portfolio which will be headed by Honorable Dr. Shakespeare Amauswa. Our international relations, cooperation and trade, which will shadow the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, will be headed by Honorable Gladys Tlashwayo. Our Home Affairs and Security will be headed by Advocate Honorable Martin Mureli. Our Industry and Commerce will be headed by Honorable Marian Matinenga. Our Women's Affairs, Community Development, Small and Medium Enterprises, Honorable Ellen Shiriedenga. Our Local Government, National Housing, Public Works and Social Amenities, which again is a combination of is it 2 or 3 ministries, will be headed by Honorable Ropafadzo Makumire. Honorable Ropafadzo Makumire is a former councillor for Chirezi, deputy mayor. He's a town planner, regional and urban town planning expert, and currently consulting for both government and the private sector in the area of regional and town planning. Our minerals, energy and power development, we've combined those two again, will be led by Honorable Engineer Leslie Mangwa. Our education, we've combined the 2 education portfolios, both higher and basic. We have also combined education with youth, sports and recreation. And Honorable Takudzwa Ngadziwore will be our shadow minister. Labor, manpower development, public services and social welfare, which again is a combination of 2 ministries, will be headed by Honorable Stabisiwe Moyo. There's convergence of data and voice over the internet protocol. We do not believe ourselves that we should have a Ministry of Information, because it is a communist relic. Media should regulate itself. In this regard, we have combined ICT, courier services, and broadcasting services as one portfolio because of the issue of convergence. And the Honorable Darlington Chigumbu will be our shadow minister. For lands, agriculture, fisheries, water and rural development, we've got Honorable Brian James, qualified agriculturalist, experienced farmer himself, and I believe we'll be able to speak to our Minister of Agriculture, who has been talking about our silos being full up until we realize that we can't feed half the country. So we expect you, Honorable James, to check the silos and tell the people of Zimbabwe the truth. Transport and infrastructure development will be led by Honorable Zivai Metu. And environment, climate, tourism, hospitality, and wildlife management will be led by our Iron Lady, Honorable Joanna Mamombe. And our health and child care will be led by the current Parliament's current portfolio chairperson for health, Honorable Daniel Molekele. These shadow ministers will be assisted by deputies who are able to stand in for them in their absence in Parliament. Defense and Liberation Veterans Affairs, Honorable Field Marshal Jabulani Hadepe. Education, Youth, Sports and Culture, Honorable Desire Moyo. ICT and Broadcasting Services, Honorable Gift Mampipiri. Transport and Infrastructure Development, Honorable Lovemore Jimu. Labor, Manpower Development, Public Services and Social Welfare, Honorable John Cooker. Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Innocent Raipa. Health and Child Care, Honorable Shine Gwangwaba. Home Affairs and Security, Honorable Maxwell Mavunga. Industry and Commerce, Honorable Black Dog, Honorable Senator Solanimo. Environment, Tourism and Climate Change, Honorable Design Kala. Women's Affairs, Community Development and Small and Medium Enterprises, Honorable Judith Tobaiwa. Agriculture, Honorable Magdalabo Ndebele. Local Government, Honorable Johnson Matambo. Energy and Mines, Honorable Prosper Mtseami. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the team that is going to be our alternative cabinet. What does it mean? What it means is that this team of the cabinet, alternative cabinet ministers, will be the official spokespersons of the party in and outside Parliament with respect to their portfolios. They will work with our Parliament leadership, Honorable Shashluwayo, the leader of the opposition in Parliament, and Honorable Nomatemba, our Chief Whip, who will be part and or ex officio members of the shadow cabinet in Parliament. And they'll guide processes in Parliament in terms of engagement with ZANU-PF. I'd like to thank you very much, and I'll take any questions. We believe that this crisis in Zimbabwe can be soft-landed by inclusive political dialogue. That dialogue must involve parties sitting in Parliament, but that dialogue must also involve stakeholders outside Parliament. Stakeholders in the form of business, of labor, the church. We believe that genuine inclusive dialogue will be able to get this country to move forward, where we agree as Zimbabweans of the political reforms that we must institute, of the electoral reforms that we must institute. And it is only after those two things have been dealt with are we able to go to an election. Let me be clear that we are opposed to the extension of the term of office of this government. We are therefore opposed to the 2030 agenda. In cases where the country is facing problems, it is important that those who are in government, they need to go back to the electorate to seek a mandate, not to extend your mandate. You actually must go back and talk to the owners of the authority to govern, which is the people. A functioning democracy where you have a crisis, you call for a snap election, you call for an early election, so that you can re-establish the social contract. So we are opposed to the extension of the term of office, and we are for inclusive national dialogue. We are against and we oppose an elite pact which involves people sitting down in a little corner and distributing power to themselves without addressing the fundamental issues facing the country.
Is your party going to elect new leaders, or in terms of the structure of the party? What is the roadmap?
When we established the CCC, we made key resolutions that after the election of August 2023, we would go to a convention. That was the decision that we made. And we are committed to that decision. But that program was disrupted by the attack that was made on us by proxies of ZANU-PF. Ready for another one? Zira. Ndiye varume nemadzimai vachanga vachisenza muparamenda kuti vabvunzurudze mabasa ari kuitwa nehurumende mumapato akasiyana-siyana ehurumende. Vanhu vataisa kuti vaite basa iri, vanhu vanofanira kunge vari muparamende, nokuti ndo munoitwa basa reutongi. Saka vose vanhu vaiswa ava vanhu vakagara senhengo dzeparamenda izvozvo.
Nyaya yatikunzwa yekunzi ma-parliamentarians opposition challenge zvinhu zvakaita sana zig neimwe mitemo iri kungoiswa vakanyarara uye vakatengwa, munoionawo sei?
Hapana chokwadi pane zvataurwa izvozvo. Nhengo dzedu dzeparliament dziri kusumudzira nyaya dzose dzinonetsa vanhu veZimbabwe. Dzingave nyaya dzeminda, dzingave nyaya dzezvipatara, dzingave nyaya dzezvikoro. Hapana chimwe chete chavari kusiya chinotambudza vana veZimbabwe.
Nyaya ye-third term yatiri kungonzwa iri kutaurika, zvakamira sei?
Isu nyaya ya third term hatidi kuinzwa. isu nyaya yatoda kuti tinzwe ndeyekuti ngatigadzirisei zviri kunetsa munyika. Kana zvichikwanisika tinokwanisa kugadzira zviri kunetseka munyika mu 6 months. Tapedza izvo toita election. Saka hatitendi nyaya yekuda kuti paitwe 3rd term. Isu tototi sarudzo ngaiunzwe kumberi iitwe mangwana. He has been selected, 1 on the basis of merit and 2 on the basis of representation.
What took you so long to make this shadow government?
Under attack, and Parliament was basically destabilized. We were focusing our attention on stabilizing processes in Parliament first. So the first thing that we had to do was to make sure that we've appointed our leadership in Parliament, which is represented by our leader of the opposition who is here and our chief whip. We also made the respective appointments for the various committees in Parliament, including international committees, as a first step. So the next step was then to establish the shadow government, which we've now done. Handizivi kuti pamuri kuverenga ndekupi. Isu tati tinoda nyaya yehurukuro dzinosanganisa vanhu vose. Hurukuro dzinosanganisa mapato ari muparamenda, hurukuro dzinosanganisa vanhu vemabhizimusi, vanhu vekuchechi, vanhu velabor, vanhu vecivic society. Dzimwe hurukuro dzamuri kunzwa idzi dzevanhu vari kusangana kuseri kwemba vari vaviri vachitaurirana nyaya yekuti shamwari iwe chindisainirawo kuti ndigara mamwe makore maviri. Hadzisi hurukuro dzedu idzodzo.
In case like before
dialogue is our plan A. Dialogue is also our plan B. The Zimbabwean crisis can only be resolved through dialogue.
Okay. What's your comment regarding the disbursement of the funds meant for you guys to the CCC led by Chabangu?
I'm not sure that there's been a disbursement. What I know is that there's been an indication by the Minister of Justice that he prefers to give that money to somebody else. Our position is very clear. The disbursement of political parties' finances is determined by the law. It is not a political decision of the Minister of Justice. It is not his decision. That decision was made on 23 August 2023 by the voters in terms of the vote share between the CCC and ZANU-PF. It is the party that sponsored candidates on that day. The candidates that we've just put in our cabinet were sponsored by us. It is those candidates who earned those funds. Mr. Chabangu did not participate August 2023 elections and therefore is not entitled to any allocation under the Political Parties Finance Act.
We know that there's still...
Yes, we are. We have got pending cases. We have got 2 challenges. One, we've got a pending challenge on the appointments that were done by Chabangu to replace our bona fide senators and PR MPs, which was done a month or so ago. That is a pending challenge in court. The matter is still to be heard. We've also challenged the recent one that brought in again some new senators and PR MPs. That again is still pending before the court. So those 2 challenges are pending. Handizivi kana muchiti ukama munorevei. Regai nditi vaChamisa vakaresigna kuCCC. Asi pavakaresigna vakataura ivo kuti handisi kusiyana neZimbabwe, handisi kusiyana nenyaya yeshanduko. Isu munhu wese anotaura nenyaya yeshanduko yekuda kupundutsa upenyu hwevana veZimbabwe musaura wedu. Imi nhasi makarekedza zvamuri kuita izvozvi zvetumafoni twenyu makati makutaura nyaya yeshandika muri saura wedu.